downfield passing game. Going to be tough for them with this amount of time left.
Yeah, Oak Hill, they'll give up a few yards to keep the clock running. You see Devin's really gutted out. He's played a nice game for Nicholas tonight on both sides of the ball. He's kind of limping a little bit. He's cramped up some tonight too, but he's a tough kid, and he's played a nice game for Nicholas.
All right, and they give it to him over the right side this time. He pushes forward and drags the tackler up over the 42 to the 43, so he's going to have enough for the first down. So they'll stop the clock momentarily while they reset the chains.
Yeah, you see Devin not limping off here. So Cade Compton was in there on the tackle. I mentioned earlier in the game, Cade's he's a sophomore. He didn't get to play a lot last year, but he's going to have to play a lot this year. And he's already had an interception on the opening drive of the game, and they're going to need Cade to step up in that linebacker position, voided by Adam Long from last year.
Yep. Helms rose to his right this time, going deep again. And Darren realized a little bit late, I think.
Looks like it fell incomplete. You'll see a lot of guys getting up off the ground.
A lot of bodies laying out there.
You can tell it's getting late. We need to get some pickle juice in these boys.
So that pass goes incomplete to bring up 2nd down and 10 now for the Grizzlies.
But this is going to be a good opening game win for Oak Hill. Go on the road and they got a lot of wrinkles to iron out. Both teams do. But you always like to iron out the wrinkles and get a W for your trouble anyway.
Yep, that's right. All right, 2nd down now and 10. Helms drops, and it's going to be interference.
Yeah, it should be. That's a good call. Yep. That was on Armani Hicks, and you're right. He was there early.
Yep.
And that's a good call. The intended receiver at that time was Braden Johnson for Nicholas. And, Nicholas is really wanting to throw the ball. And against future opponents, they might have a little more success. But, man, they have really struggled to get receivers open and to give Helms any time. But you can tell that's kind of what Nicholas wants to do. They would like to establish their pass game some.
And that time Helms did have time to throw, and tight coverage, but Oak Hill called for the interference. And I don't think he was forcing that pass in there, but any pass he's thrown downfield has been very closely covered like that.
Yes, it really has. So Oak Hill's got LaShawn Nichols in on the defensive line now as Nash breaks the tackle.
Yep, Nash still running hard, breaking tackles, and gets it down to Oak Hill's 36.
We have a 29. I like to get we don't have a 29 on our roster. He's in the game for Oak Hill. So we're having our first game mistakes too. But, man, Oak Hill's got to get that roster down. They got to get that roster down with numbers better.
Back when I was coaching, if you didn't have your roster correct on there, they would fine you.
Yeah, well, somebody's going to get fined.
And Monty's the AD, and he's coaching, so there's a hold right there.
Yeah, I thought I saw it too.
Yeah, I saw a jersey.
Boy, Helms lowered his shoulder on Cade Compton that time. Yeah. He
rolled him over.
He did, yeah. Helms wasn't stepping out of bounds.
Yep. Going to be off or not, though. There was a flag, and there was a definite hold there. You saw the jersey stretch out. Somebody putting the pressure on the quarterback on Helms, and he was almost to him when the jersey started stretching, and the official on this sideline threw the flag immediately. So
yeah. No, but we'll get our roster situation straightened out. We'll try to figure out who some of these kids are moving forward. That looks like LaShawn Nichols, number 53. He's checked into the game at the defensive line for Oak Hill. He's a 5'10", 215-pound sophomore getting his first action of the night.
Yeah, we'll get that lined out. That takes some time. That's just, and I'm sure you never know what might have went on with jerseys and uniforms.
Yeah, it's easy for us to pick on people, but that's probably more to it than we think too.
Mm-hmm. But we'll get to know Oak Hill kids better, and we won't have to really look at the roster for a game or two, hopefully. And they've got a lot of subs in now. I know.
Yeah, they do.
Injury prevention and. There's a short pass out in the flat to the.
That's Burkhammer. And, last year that's something Nicholas did a good job of. Was getting their tight ends involved in the pass game. They haven't been able to really involve them this year. They had some success against Oak Hill doing that last year. That's the first time I can remember a tight end catching a ball for Nicholas tonight.
Yep. Yeah, and again, the only success that Nicholas has had throwing the ball has been those short passes out in the flat.
Yeah, nothing downfield.
Yep. They haven't utilized that a whole lot. There's Helms again dropping. Pressure comes. He goes back to the other side of the field. I think that was designed. It's a little throwback. Nash was open, but he couldn't get the ball out to him because the pressure was too much. So they'll bring up fourth down now, and looks to be about 15.
But I'm with you. That's a pretty nicely designed play. I kind of like that throwback there.
Yep.
To get everything flowing over to the right, and then Nash snuck out of the backfield, and he was there. You're right.
Yep.
Helms just couldn't.
Yep.
Couldn't get it there. But that's something that, as the season progresses, Nicholas can come back to it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think he had enough room to really step into that throw as pressure was coming. Officials hustling now. Saved up her energy for the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
This official hadn't gotten in position yet before play starts. I don't know. He hadn't gotten run over. He's still got his back turned when the play goes. Never has gotten back there and got set up.
Getting a lot of flags late here.
Yep. I'm trying to keep track of the trail game, and looks like
What's the score over in Heiko right now?
14-0. Clay County just scored. All right, here we go. Now we're fourth and 12, so they picked up a couple yards on that delay there. Pressure coming again. Helms throws it over the middle.
That's a nice ball.
Yep, Burkhammer hauls it in at the 23-yard line. Closely covered there by Hicks, but nice pass. Yep.
Yeah, he just found a little, maybe a gap. I don't know if that was in man coverage or not. A little gap right there, right down the seam.
Yep.
Was able to hit his big tight end Burkhammer.
Yep, 1:23 left to go in the game. We got a timeout, looks like, on the field. We'll just stay here with it.
So, Greg, next week, Oak Hill plays an opponent they didn't play last year. I think Riverside is actually the only difference in the schedule from last year. And off the top of my head, I can't remember who Riverside replaces. Now, Riverside was originally a Quad A opponent, and they may have dropped the AAA too.
Yeah,
I think they did.
Yeah, I think they did too.
I think they did. So Oak Hill's going to go on the road to play the Warriors, and then, as we mentioned, in 2 weeks they get to open up their field against Princeton, which is going to be a tall task.
Yep, Princeton had a good opening game last night.
They did, yeah.
The Capitol, so that will be pretty good.
Yeah, they're going to be a factor in AAA again this year, and you know if you're a team like Princeton or Bridgeport, the big bully in the state, Martinsburg's no longer in AAA. They're in Quad A now, so AAA is a much more open than it's been probably in the last decade in the state of West Virginia.
Yep, sure is. Of course, all the Quad A teams will make the playoffs because there's only 16 of them.
Yes.
Here's Helms with it, runs it down inside the 20. Gets down to about the 15, 16-yard line. And no flags this time, so the clock continuing to roll.
Helms gives Nicholas County a nice little dual threat there, though, too. He's shown enough tonight. He can. They want to throw it with him, but they can have some design runs. He can make something happen when the play breaks down. Helms is a good athlete. 6'4" kid, too. Big kid.
Just like I said, it don't look like he's running fast, but he's very elusive.
Yeah.
Smart runner. He takes his time. He's patient. Here he goes, flushes out to the left side, and he's going to tuck it in. And gets down close to the 10. And that should be another first down.
J.D. Moritz still out there hustling, making plays. He was able to corral him. It looks like we might have a little feed freeze again here in the last 41 seconds.
Yep.
I think we know who's going to win.
Yep.
If we don't, this is the wildest 41 seconds I've ever seen.
Yeah, Nicholas County will. They might get in for a score, but that's it's not going to matter. With 41 seconds left, that clock will start as soon as they get those chains set, and they're probably looking at 3 plays if they don't get it in, and then that should do it. So there we go. Touchdown, maybe. I see Helms getting some love, so he must have run it in.
Looks like, panning to the scoreboard, and sure did,
17 seconds, 28-14 now. Oak Hill with the lead, and Nicholas County, I'm assuming, will go for 2. They went for 2 first score. I don't know if they have an extra point kicker or not.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing here either. Helms looks like he's tired. He's wanting to know what's going on.
Oh,
he's getting the tee, so yeah, they're going to kick it. Looks like Burkhamper's going to
we'll try the kick.
Try to boot an extra point here for Nicholas County. Well, again, if you're Oak Hill, nice opening game win. A lot of mistakes you can talk about, a lot of wrinkles to iron out.
Yep.
But you beat Nicholas County for the third year in a row. Next week you go on the road to Riverside, and that's a chance to get a win against a team in your own class,
right,
which is always important for playoff positioning and not to get ahead of them. You know, we have the luxury of being able to look ahead here a little bit. I think Oak Hill does have a really good chance, especially since dropping back down to AAA. I think they have a good chance on a workable schedule to make the playoffs again. I think they have a schedule they can compete against, but they are going to have to have that line come together and gel a little bit.
Yep. And like I said, even though the schedule was loaded toward Quad A, a lot of the Quad A's we're playing were not I don't want to disparage anyone,
Well,
they're not the upper level.
They're not.
Quad A's,
I mean, that's fair to say.
Yeah.
They're not the upper crust Quad A's in the state.
So in saying that, I think Oak Hill can compete with those teams, and then winning those Quad A games, that just means that much more for you point wise.
Yeah.
In the playoff run. So I think it sets them up nice for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Richardson coming over from Beckley is going to be a big boon to the team.
For sure.
Because I do think I mentioned earlier, when you have a young line, if you have a mobile quarterback, that can really help a young line.
Yeah. Yep.
He can get them out of trouble.
Here's a squig kick falling on by Red Devils.
That was Ashmore.
Is that Ashmore?
Yeah,
Yep.
Tyler Ashmore. He's had a nice game.
Yeah.
They've ran a lot of plays behind Tyler. He's carried it a little bit, but he's been a good lead blocker for Oak Hill tonight. They ran behind him quite a few times tonight. So Tyler's done a nice job, even though his name's not going to pop up for big stats in the box score.
He plays a solid game. He normally has good solid games. He's a player.
Yeah.
And I think, again, like you said, you learn a lot about your team and what your strengths are. And I think Oak Hill is, the coaches will see that this athleticism that they have, they may need to use that a little more, getting these guys out in the open field with the ball, trimming down the passing game.
Yeah.
To where it's not all way downfield, dropping it off these good guys in the backfield. Of course, he hit it in the long pass as the game wore on, so you might see more of that. But learn a lot about your team in a game like this, and it's good for Oak Hill to get out here and get the win on opening night. So good job for the Red Devils. They win it 28-15 at Nicholas County, and good football game. Really, a lot cleaner game than I thought it would be penalty-wise, because first games of the season are usually pretty rough with penalties, and we didn't have a ton of penalties. We had a few, but not a ton. Normally you have a lot of all sides jumping and legal procedures and that sort of thing. Didn't see a ton of that, so credit to the coaching staffs of both teams. Gene Morris and his staff, and, of course, Devon Marion and his staff. Great job by both of these staffs, and a good football game to watch, a good football game to call. We apologize again for all the technical difficulties, but we worked through it, and you got to see most of it, so that's a plus, and we'll get that ironed out more and more, too, as the season goes along. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do this, and Darren does a great job with all the technology and that sort of thing. You can't always depend on internet and that kind of stuff.
Shout out to Lucas Berry, who worked our board here at the studio tonight, too. He was working through those technical difficulties with Darren, and those two guys can do. I can't do it.
Me neither.
These boards are foreign to me, so we really appreciate those guys doing that.
Yeah, all I can do is put the headphone on and talk, and I don't do that very well. So
appreciate those guys.
Yeah, we appreciate those guys, and we appreciate you folks for bearing with us and getting us through the game. We enjoyed bringing it to you. We'll get better as time goes on, we promise. For Chris Rader, I'm Greg Christ. Lucas Berry's over on the controls. Darren out at the stadium packing up, heading home. We appreciate everyone for watching this opening night of high school football, the Oak Hill Red Devils over the Nicholas County Grizzlies, 28-15. You've been watching on the New River Network. We hope you'll continue to watch. We have more games obviously coming up. I want to mention too, Saturday, tomorrow, I'll be hosting a post-game show for the Mountaineers on the Voice of College Football. You might want to tune into that. You might not, but you may want to tune in and call in, text in, whatever you want to do. You can join right in with us and talk on the air about the Mountaineer game. They're playing Penn State tomorrow, so I want to tell everybody about that.